The universe doesn't announce when two souls are about to collide. It just starts holding its breath. You feel it before you can name it. A shift in the atmosphere that has nothing to do with weather. Your body knows the truth long before your mind constructs the lie you'll tell yourself to stay safe. This is the physics of unspoken longing. The moment they enter a space, your entire nervous system realigns. You haven't seen them yet. Maybe they're still 30 feet away, behind a door, around a corner. But something in your chest tightens. Your breathing changes its rhythm. Your skin temperature rises a fraction of a degree. You are not choosing this reaction. It is choosing you. This is the body's ancient language, speaking fluently while the conscious mind stammers for translation. The body always confesses what the lips are sworn to protect. When your eyes finally find them, the world doesn't just continue. It pauses. That first glance is never casual. It's recognition dressed up as coincidence. You tell yourself it was accidental. But accidents don't make your stomach drop like you've missed a step on a staircase you weren't climbing. Watch how the air changes when you're close enough to touch, but aren't touching. That space between you becomes charged, heavy, alive. It has weight. It has temperature. If someone else stepped into that gap, they'd feel it too. The invisible wall of tension that says this territory is claimed by something unspoken. You start noticing details you shouldn't notice. The exact shade of their eyes in different light. The way they hold a coffee cup. The specific laugh they only use when something genuinely surprises them. Your brain, without permission, has opened a file and begun filling it with evidence. Evidence of what? You're not ready to ask that question. Eye contact becomes dangerous. Not the quick, polite glance that passes between strangers. The other kind. The kind that lasts 1 second too long. In that extra second, everything is communicated. Desire, fear, question, answer. You look away first, or they do, but the damage is done. That glance now lives in both your memories. Replayed at 3 a.m. when sleep feels impossible. Why does one look carry so much weight? Because it's honest. You can control your words. You can control your hands. But the eyes, when they lock with someone who matters, become traitors to every wall you've built. They expose you. And in that exposure, they ask the question neither of you is ready to voice. Are you feeling this too? There's a specific silence that exists only between two people who want each other but haven't said it. It's not empty. It's full. Full of sentences that will never be spoken. Full of touches that will never happen. Full of futures that will never arrive. And yet, it's the most alive silence you've ever inhabited. You become hyper-aware of your own body around them. How you stand. Where you put your hands. Whether you're breathing too loudly. You catch yourself performing normalcy, which of course makes you anything but normal. They're doing it too. You can see it in the slight tension in their shoulders, the way their laugh comes a half-beat too late, the careful way they avoid looking at you for too long, except when they don't. Jung spoke of the anima and animus, the inner feminine in men, the inner masculine in women, not as psychological concepts, but as living forces within us. When you meet someone who awakens these, you don't just meet them. You recognize them. It feels like remembering someone you've never met. Like your soul has been carrying their photograph without your knowledge. This is why they feel familiar. This is why their voice settles something restless inside you. This is why, when they're gone, the world seems to lose color, and when they return, everything sharpens back into focus. They are not just another person. They are a mirror reflecting parts of yourself you've forgotten or never knew existed. Some people don't enter your life. They re-enter it, like a memory you forgot you had. Pay attention to the small physical adjustments. When you're together, do they angle their body toward you even when talking to someone else? Does their posture change when you walk into the room? Do they touch their hair, adjust their clothes, wet their lips? Tiny grooming behaviors that have nothing to do with grooming and everything to do with nervous system activation? These are not choices. These are autonomic responses. The body preparing itself for something important. The body saying, without words, you matter. I am aware of you. I am presenting myself to you. Watch for these signals. They are more honest than any confession. There's a particular kind of jealousy that emerges in these unspoken dynamics. Not the loud, possessive kind. The quiet kind. The kind that shows up as a slight drop in energy when someone else makes them laugh. The kind that lives in the observation. They're giving that smile to someone who isn't you. You hide it. You're an expert at hiding it. But you feel it. And if you watch closely, you'll catch flashes of it in them too. This jealousy is not weakness. It's information. It's your psyche telling you that this person has become important enough to potentially lose. You don't get jealous about people who don't matter. The sting is the proof. The discomfort is the evidence. Your shadow side, as Jung called it, is stepping into the light, and it's holding a truth you've been trying to bury. Synchronicity starts appearing. Meaningful coincidences that logic can't explain. You think of them, and your phone buzzes with their name. You're about to text them, and they text first. You walk into a crowded place, and they're the first person you see, as if the crowd parted just to show you them. These moments feel designed. They feel like the universe is winking at you, saying, "Pay attention. This matters." Jung coined synchronicity to describe events that are connected not by cause and effect, but by meaning. When these coincidences pile up, when they become too frequent to dismiss, you're no longer in the realm of chance. You're in the realm of fate. And fate, unlike chance, demands a response. You start listening for their voice in every room. Even when you're not consciously searching, your ear is tuned to their frequency. You can be in a conversation with someone else, fully engaged, and still register the exact moment they start speaking across the room. Your attention has been wired to them without your permission. This is not obsession. This is resonance. Two systems vibrating on the same frequency. Conversations with them are different. Small talk isn't small. How was your day? Feels like a door opening. What are you thinking about? Feels like an invitation to reveal something sacred. You find yourself telling them things you haven't told anyone. Not because you plan to, but because their presence makes honesty feel safer than secrecy. And they do the same. They offer you pieces of themselves they usually guard. Vulnerability becomes instinctive. This mutual opening is the foundation of real intimacy. Not physical touch, not declarations of love, just the slow, terrifying, beautiful process of letting someone see who you actually are. When you find someone who makes that possible, who makes that feel not just possible but necessary, you found something rare. Don't mistake it for casual. You remember things about them that you have no business remembering. Their order at a restaurant they've only mentioned once. The name of a sibling they referenced in passing months ago. A fear they confessed in a late-night conversation that you filed away and revisit privately, hoping they're okay. Your memory is not randomly efficient. It prioritizes what your heart has already chosen. When they're absent, you feel their absence more acutely than you feel the presence of others. The room is emptier. The day is duller. You catch yourself looking toward doors, checking your phone, scanning for updates that might give you a fragment of them. This isn't neediness. This is imprinting. They've taken up residence inside you, and the space they occupy doesn't close when they leave. Then there's the tension, the breathless, electric tension that sits between you like a held breath. When you're close, when your hands almost touch, when your eyes meet and hold a moment too long, that tension becomes almost unbearable. It's not discomfort. It's anticipation. It's every unsaid word pressing against your ribs, demanding release. Why do you both pretend not to feel it? Because feeling it would require action, and action carries risk. The risk of rejection, the risk of changing everything, the risk of losing what you already have, this fragile, beautiful, torturous almost relationship that hurts but also keeps you alive. Pretending feels safer, but pretending is also slowly destroying you both. Watch how they touch you. Not the obvious touches, the accidental ones. A hand on your back to move past you in a crowded space. Fingers brushing yours when passing an object. A hug that lingers a half second beyond appropriate. These aren't accidents. These are tests. Small experiments to see if you'll pull away, if you'll react, if you'll acknowledge the electricity that they're feeling too. Your body responds to these touches instantly. A jolt, a warmth, a sudden awareness of your own skin. You replay the moment afterward, analyzing it for meaning. Did they mean to do that? Did they feel it too? The analysis itself is the answer. If it meant nothing, you wouldn't still be thinking about it hours later. There's a protectiveness that emerges, not in a possessive way, in a quiet way. You notice when they're tired before anyone else does. You hear the slight change in their voice when something's wrong. You want to shield them from small cruelties, from dismissive comments, from people who don't see how remarkable they are. This protectiveness isn't chosen. It's instinctive. It's what happens when someone becomes part of your internal world. They protect you too. You've seen it. The way they check on you after a rough day. The way they defend you in conversations you weren't even present for. The way they remember what hurts you and avoid those topics, those places, those people. Care like this isn't casual. Care like this is a love language spoken before love has been admitted. Time behaves differently around them. Hours disappear. Conversations that should take 15 minutes stretch into 3 hours. Goodbyes become rituals that neither of you knows how to complete. You say, "I should go," and then stand there for another 20 minutes. They say, "It was good seeing you," and then don't move. Time isn't passing when you're together. It's accumulating. Every moment stacking onto the last, building something neither of you can name. When you're apart, time moves differently too. It drags. It stalls. You find yourself calculating how long until you'll see them again, counting down like a child before a holiday. This is not normal friendship math. This is attachment. This is your nervous system refusing to regulate without their presence nearby. You start imagining them in your future, not in a fantasy way, but in a practical way. What would it be like to travel with them? To cook dinner together? To wake up next to them? These imaginings feel natural, not forced. They feel like predictions more than dreams. And they terrify you because they reveal how deeply you've already let them in. Fear becomes a constant companion. Fear of losing them. Fear of wanting them too much. Fear of what will happen if you speak or if you don't. This fear isn't a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that something matters. You don't fear losing what you don't value. The fear is the measure of the value. Let it teach you, not paralyze you. You notice them pulling away sometimes. Not because their feelings changed, but because their feelings overwhelmed them. Distance becomes a survival mechanism. They retreat to regain control, to remind themselves who they are outside of this gravitational pull. And when they retreat, you feel it like a physical withdrawal. Cold where there was warmth. Silence where there was music. But they always return. And when they return, they're softer, warmer, more present. As if the time away reminded them that running doesn't work. As if they missed you more than they feared you. This pattern, push, pull, return, isn't confusion. It's the dance of two people trying to protect themselves from something that feels too big to hold. Jealousy surfaces in both of you, whether admitted or not. You notice their reaction when someone flirts with you. The slight tightening of their jaw. The way they suddenly become interested in their phone. The questions they ask afterward, disguised as casual curiosity. So who was that? Do you know them well? They're gathering intelligence. They're assessing threat levels. They're doing exactly what you do when the situation is reversed. This jealousy isn't ugly. It's human. It's the shadow of desire, as Jung would say. The part of you that wants to claim, to protect, to ensure that what matters isn't taken. Acknowledge it. Don't judge it. Let it show you how much this connection means. You develop a private language. Inside jokes that no one else would understand. References that only make sense to you two. A tone of voice you use only with each other. This isn't deliberate. It's organic. It's what happens when two people create a shared world, a world with its own rules, its own history, its own meaning. This world is precious. Guard it, but also recognize what its existence reveals. You've already built something together. The persona, the mask we all wear to navigate society, drops around them. Not all at once. In pieces. You show them the version of you that's tired, not the version that's performing. You admit to fears you usually hide. You let them see you struggle, doubt, fail. And they don't recoil. They stay. They see you more clearly than almost anyone, and they don't leave. This is the deepest form of attraction. Not physical, not even emotional. Existential. Being seen at your core and accepted anyway. When someone offers you that, when you offer it in return, you've crossed into territory that few relationships ever reach. Don't pretend this is ordinary. It's not. There's a moment, sometimes small, sometimes massive, where pretending becomes impossible. A look that lasts too long and neither of you breaks. A touch that wasn't accidental but felt like one. A silence that says more than words ever could. In that moment, everything shifts. The old rules no longer apply. You're in new territory now, and both of you know it. You can feel their heartbeat. Not literally, but energetically. The air between you pulses with it. Your breathing synchronizes without effort. Your bodies lean toward each other, drawn by a gravity that has nothing to do with physics and everything to do with fate. This is the moment of decision. Not whether you feel it, that's already settled, but whether you'll acknowledge it, whether you'll be brave enough to speak. What holds you back? Fear, yes, but also love. The love you already feel for what you have, even in its incomplete form. You're afraid to risk the known comfort of almost for the unknown territory of actually. This fear is rational. It's also a prison. And at some point, the prison becomes more painful than the leap. The night comes when something breaks. Not breaks apart. Breaks open. A conversation that stops being casual. A moment of honesty that slips out before you can catch it. A question asked with trembling voice. Do you ever wonder what this is? The question hangs in the air like a held breath. And then, slowly, carefully, they answer. They say yes. They say they've wondered too. They say they've been scared, confused, overwhelmed. They say they didn't want to risk what you have. They say all the things you've been feeling, in words that sound like they came from your own mind. And in that moment, the isolation ends. You're not alone in this anymore. You never were. What holds you back? Fear, yes, but also love. The love you already feel for what you have, even in its incomplete form. You're afraid to risk the known comfort of almost for the unknown territory of actually. This fear is rational. It's also a prison. And at some point, the prison becomes more painful than the leap. The bravest thing you can say is not, I love you, but I feel it too. What follows is relief so profound it feels like crying. Years of tension, years of pretending, years of wondering. All of it released in a single exhale. You talk for hours, not about logistics or plans, about the journey, about the moments you knew, about the fears you carried, about the signs you ignored. You laugh at how obvious it all was. You marvel at how long you both pretended. Then the conversation shifts. From confession to creation. From what have we been feeling to what do we want to build. You talk about the future with a new kind of language. Not hypotheticals. Possibilities. Real possibilities. You talk about what it would mean to stop hiding. To be seen together. To let the world know what you've known in secret for so long. What holds you back? Fear, yes, but also love. The love you already feel for what you have, even in its incomplete form. You're afraid to risk the known comfort of almost for the unknown territory of actually. This fear is rational. It's also a prison. And at some point, the prison becomes more painful than the leap. This conversation is terrifying. It's also the most alive you've felt in years. Because you're finally being honest. Finally letting the truth have its say. Finally choosing courage over comfort, reality over pretense, connection over protection. It's not that the fear disappears. It's that the fear becomes smaller than the truth. When you finally part, the goodbye is different. It's heavier because it means more. But it's also lighter because the weight of pretense is gone. You hold each other longer. You look at each other differently, with ownership, with tenderness, with the beginning of something that feels like forever. You say goodnight, but neither of you moves. Neither of you wants to be the first to leave this new reality. Later, alone, you replay everything. Every word, every look, every touch. And for the first time, you don't analyze. You just feel. You feel grateful. Grateful for their courage, for yours, for the universe that kept pushing you together despite every attempt to stay apart. You feel like you've been given something precious, something fragile, something worth protecting. Your phone buzzes. A message from them. Simple. Honest. I'm glad we talked. You smile in the dark. You type back. Me too. More than I can say. Another message arrives almost instantly. I've never felt this way before. You read it 3 times. Each time, your heart swells a little more. You answer. Neither have I. And I'm not scared anymore. And as the night settles around you, A deep truth settles within you. Love was never the risk. The risk was silence. The risk was pretending. The risk was letting something sacred dissolve into nothing because you were too afraid to name it. The universe doesn't send soulmates for you to ignore. It sends them for you to recognize, to choose, to fight for. Jung spoke of the collective unconscious, a deep layer of shared human experience, connecting us all beneath the surface. What you felt with them, what you've always felt, was never just personal. It was universal. It was the oldest story in the world, playing out in your particular bodies, your particular lives. Two souls recognizing each other across the crowded room of existence and saying, without words, I see you. I've always seen you. You didn't choose this connection. It chose you. Your only choice was whether to honor it or bury it. And tonight, you chose honor. You chose truth. You chose each other. That choice doesn't guarantee an easy path. It doesn't guarantee happiness without hardship. But it guarantees something more important: authenticity. The chance to live your one life without the weight of what might have been. What would your future self, looking back from your deathbed, want you to do right now? Would they want you to play it safe, to protect yourself, to keep everything neat and controlled? Or would they want you to leap, to risk, to love with your whole heart, even knowing it could break? You already know the answer. You've always known. The question was never whether you felt it. The question was whether you'd be brave enough to act. And now, finally, you are. You've stepped into the truth. You've chosen the leap. And whatever comes next, you'll face it together. Not because it's easy, because it's real.